Hey! What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Unique Experience, part of the Fujibo Heavy channel. So, if you're wondering what this is, guys, this is my new daily driver. Alright guys, once again, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Unique Experience, part of the Fujibo Heavy channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is John. My personal goal is to own and experience as many unique cars as possible. So if you're new to the channel and enjoy the content, consider subscribing. If you're already subscribed, thanks for tuning in. So guys, I want you to welcome my new daily driver. So I've actually been really terrible with filming, just been very busy. So as you know, I recently picked up an NSX to replace the Audi R8. I enjoyed the NSX so much that I had a daily driver LS 460 that had all the creature comforts and everything like that, and I sold it for a 95 Honda Civic hatchback DX. And it was a really special car. It only had 2 owners, and other than some distasteful headlights, taillights, and wheels that were plasti dipped, it was bone stock, no rust, unmolested. And I made some changes to it, and basically what I did was I got to a point where it looked pretty clean, and I put it out there just to see what somebody would offer me, and somebody made me a really good offer for it. So I went ahead and sold that. Basically, I was looking at another IS300. I'm a huge fan of the IS300 and had one for a very short period of time. Unfortunately, I decided to do the, not unfortunately, but I decided to do the floors in my garage, and they're pretty expensive. So in order for me to make that happen, I did have to sell the Lexus to pay for the floors and ended up buying something else. But I found a really clean IS300, but then I checked a local JDM shop called Maryland JDM, and they primarily do a lot of JDM parts. They do wheels, seats, headlights, taillights, a lot of accessories that are imported from Japan. The owner happened to have this car, and you know, I said I'll go ahead and take a look at it. So this is a 1991 Honda Beat. This is a car that was imported in from Japan. It was never made in the US, and it's considered a K car. So they're just these tiny compact cars, and a lot of manufacturers make one. Some of my favorites are the AutoZam AZ1 by Mazda. There's the Honda Today, there's the Suzuki Cappuccino, there's the little K trucks, which are like little 2-seater trucks that have tiny beds. They're hilarious, and every time I considered a K vehicle, I ended up just going to something a little more practical, just because they are really tiny. We do have kids, and I try to get stuff that is more family friendly so I can enjoy it with the family. So I saw this pop up. It was pretty local here in Maryland. A lot of the times I have to travel to different states to find stuff, but this one was pretty close enough for me to just kind of swing by there and check it out and see what I thought. And the moment I saw it, I fell in love, and then once I put the top down and started driving it, I was sold. So to give you some details with the car, as I mentioned, it's a 1991 Honda Beat. It is a i3, so I believe an inline 3-cylinder, and the car has around 64 horsepower. This particular model has a 5-speed manual transmission and a top speed of, I believe, 83 to 84 miles an hour. And it is quite hilarious when you're driving this car. You know, obviously everything is in kilometers. So when you are driving, you know, as you guys know, I have had some JDM cars. I've had R32 Skyline and an R34 GTT. So I am kind of used to driving right-hand drive. So for those wondering what it's like to drive a right-hand drive car, the gearbox is still the same. You know, you still have first where it normally is. You have the pedals in the same spot. The only things that you kind of have to get used to is the turn signal and the wipers are actually flipped. So the wipers are actually on your left, turn signal's on your right. When you're driving the car, you also want to keep in mind, instead of hugging the center line, you want to hug the shoulder. So this way, you know, you're not crossing that line. Because, you know, with a left-hand drive car, your depth perception can be off when you're sitting on the right-hand side. But this car is so small, I'm not sure if it would really matter. But what's really cool about this car is, so as I mentioned before, I had a 95 Honda Civic DX hatchback. It's a EG, and though, you know, the Civics have different trim models, so I had a DX, so it didn't have power steering, it didn't have power windows, no AC, none of those creature features, where this 91 Honda Beat actually has all those things. It has power steering, it has power windows, it has AC. AC works okay, but it does have it. It's an option. You can always kind of, you know, when the system's already there, it's a lot easier to kind of fix and diagnose, as opposed to trying to retrofit an AC system to a car that does not have AC. This is a convertible, which is pretty cool. And the convertible is just manually operated. So if right now the top is down, but in the event that you want to put the top up, all you have to do is manually lift it up. And then you, when you're inside, you just kind of push it forward, and then it will straighten out, and then you kind of latch it into place, and that's what holds it into place. So I really do like the fact that the top is manual. A lot of the times convertible tops will fail over time, especially something that is 30 years old. But I love the fact that, you know, the only thing that's really manual is that everything else is power. And it's actually a super fun car to drive. The only thing that I'd say you kind of have to get used to, that I'm not really used to, is you know, the RPMs at kind of normal cruising speed. So, you know, here in Maryland, you know, a lot of the roads 55 mile an hour, and at 55 miles an hour, you're somewhere around 4,000 RPMs, which is actually pretty high at just cruising speeds. And as I mentioned, the car does top out at 84 and 84 miles per hour. So, you know, usually if you're around 55, 60 miles an hour, the car is sitting pretty high in the RPM range, and it's almost kind of like screaming, but luckily the car is pretty quiet. This has been such an awesome car. I've only had it for maybe a couple days now, and it's just an awesome example. So basically, to go over the features of this car, this hatch here opens up. All right, so I guess I can kind of walk you around and show you some of the features and layout of this car. So we'll go ahead and reach under here. This will pop the front area, and there's really not a ton of storage in here. You do have this little hood prop. You can put that in there. And when we look in this area, there's not a ton. You have your power steering fluid, or your power steering reservoir. You have your windshield washer reservoir. You have a spare tire, and your factory jack stands, or not jack stands, but the factory lift. And then you can actually see the strut towers and everything. The headlights are easily accessible. It's very, you know, straightforward. Everything. What I love about, you know, these Hondas is that everything is so easy to get to. A lot of things are, you know, nothing's not too over-engineered. It's very, very easy to work on, very user-friendly. So that's pretty much everything that is underneath the hood. And, ooh, that was a little rough. So then when we open up the door, which is here on the right side, if you want to open up your the gas tank, there's this little tab here on the door jamb, and if you pull that, it will open up your little fuel door. Go ahead and close that. And now if you want to check out the trunk, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and grab the key, and we can go ahead and open that up so you can see under the hood. So now, put the key in, you have a little hood prop here, and that just goes right in this little hole. And this is the back of the car. So you have a little tiny 12-volt battery here. The engine, you can see about half of it through here. You have your coolant tank. There is a little bit of storage room, Back here there is, you know, kind of the factory tool set. But primarily, if you want to work through this car, I believe you have to do it through back here. There's a cover, and when you remove everything, you should be able to see the top of the engine. It's not terribly, you know, engineered. It's usually things are pretty accessible. It's just, you know, like anything, you got to get used to the car and kind of have a better understanding of, you know, what it is that you're doing. So, as I mentioned to you guys, with every experience, the three things that I look forward to is learning about common issues, learning about the true cost of ownership, and then also I also enjoy learning about the community. And so far, the community for these cars is awesome. The people that own these cars are very helpful, and if there's ever anything you need, people are definitely willing to help and provide information. The only modification to this car is pretty much the wheels. The car comes factory with 13-inch wheels. The previous owner, or one of the previous owners, had changed the wheels to 14s, which is actually pretty small, especially compared to today's standards. But obviously for this tiny little car, the 14s actually look a little big, and if you were to go any bigger, it would actually look kind of strange on this little tiny car. But overall, I really like it a lot. It's pretty much factory aside from the wheels. As far as my plans for the car, I plan to keep it as original as possible. I'm not really too sure what the aftermarket options are. I haven't really looked into it, but the car in stock form, I definitely like it a lot. And I don't really want to tinker with it too much, just because, you know, once you get started with that, it's really hard to kind of stop and just get further away. And then next thing you know, the daily becomes the project. So that's pretty much the car. That's pretty much a brief overview of what it is.